Terrified Parkland teacher afraid to show her face as she exposes what Hogg did, he's terrorizing us. It's truly tragic that 17 lived were lost at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, and it's not their names that will be forever remembered from this tragic day. David Hogg has become the breakout star, an apparent constitutional scholar preaching to Americans about using his First Amendment right to try to take away the Second Amendment right from citizens. One tragedy has now devolved into another, in that Hoog's polarizing and overly publicized message has deepened the divide in this country for what seems to be his own attention-seeking game. The staff that remains at the school, which has now made Hogg's dreams of political fame and news notoriety come true, are terrified of this particular student, and for good reason. While David is high on the Hogg, true, yet ironic statement, the students and staff trying to live life in the aftermath are trying to come to grips with what happened while dealing with his charade that has garnered them a lot of attention they don't want in this difficult time. However, that's just the start. A Stoneman Douglas teacher recently spoke to the press for the first time since the massacre and was so terrified as to what she felt needed to be exposed about this outspoken student that her voice and identity were disguised. Evidently, she felt this was a necessary precaution to take to protect herself, and likely for very good reason based on what she was revealing. Hogg is loving his 15 minutes of fame and taking full advantage of it as the left's new golden boy to push their propaganda. He's doing an exceptional job for them too, with keeping his anti-gun narrative as the center of attention. For that, he's priceless to Democrats who love to use kids to sling their agenda at any cost. Sadly, it's the school he's using for this narrative that is suffering the worst, and for no reason based on what has just come to light. A month and a half after this attack that launched Hogg's career, Hogg has placed the blame on the GOP and the NRA for not protecting them and prioritizing guns and gun rights over their lives. That had no part in the February 14th attack, as the teacher who saw 10 times the horror that Hogg did, just said. There's one major details that has been swept under the rug, and it's not coincidental. With this fact coming out, it completely obliterates Hogg's narrative and proves who really failed these kids, mostly the ones not using the tragedy for fame and infamy. The Daily Caller reports, a Marjory Stoneman Douglas teacher says a threat assessment was performed at the high school just a few months before the deadly massacre, but school officials failed to heed the recommendations that followed. There is blood on many people's hands through this whole thing, definitely on the principal's hand, but Sheriff Israel definitely has blood on his hands, because the BSO, not only the school resource officer, but no BSO deputies ever went in even while shots were being fired inside of the 1200 building. But the superintendent and the school board also, because of their policies, the faculty member said on the condition of anonymity during an interview that aired on NRAD Monday night on Dana Loesch's Relentless program. According to the faculty member, the threat assessment occurred in December 2017 and arranged by what is known at school as the Safety Committee, which includes an assistant principal, the head of security at Stoneman Douglas, and 2 Stoneman Douglas teachers. An inquiry was sent Monday morning and afternoon to members of the Broward County School Board and principal of Stoneman Douglas about the 2017 threat assessment for a response. This threat assessment was done by a retired Secret Service agent, and it was known that he was going to do this assessment by the Safety Committee, but that no one else at Stoneman Douglas would be aware of it, including administration, except for that one administrator on the committee, the staffer said. The teacher continued, the Secret Service agent came in. He parked in the front of the school for 20 minutes. He was never approached by anyone. He gained entry to the campus, never being stopped by anyone at any time, and put post-its on 21 random people. Each person the agent placed a post-it note on represented a casualty done by a shooter if the perpetrator gained access to the campus. The agent ran out of post-its after using 21 notes and could have tagged 4 more people thereafter, the staffer said. Reports that Secret Service and other high-security personnel being at the school before the attack first surfaced several weeks ago when school security expert, John Bouchel, who has extensive experience and expertise, exposed it. It didn't take much time before his claims of training by these experts, which was highly unusual and far from common practice, was scrubbed from public view. Now that a teacher, who claimed to be there for both the training and subsequent attack, is echoing her account of the unusual behavior, it sure brings about some major questions as to the motive of the tragedy without incorporating conspiracy theories to question or answer what's surfacing. Bouchel's detailed explanation of his beliefs and opinions, which seem to coincide with this teacher's account, are available in this video.